Hey everyone, it's Erin with Hail Varsity. I'm joined by Greg, also of Hail Varsity, and we have just wrapped up practice for another Tuesday. As always, we heard from both coordinators as well as offensive line coach Greg Austin, linebackers coach, inside linebackers coach Barrett Rude, and then a number of players. So we're going to give you a quick recap. But as always, if you want more, please head to hailvarsity.com. We'll have post-practice recaps, everything that you need to know, and you can become a subscriber there as well. But let's just dive into this. Greg, we heard from both coordinators, all the people that I mentioned. What was your biggest takeaway?
I think the number one thing that I came away from thinking about today is consistency and starting fast. I think that starting fast has become kind of a mantra that the team has really adopted, specifically on offense. Heard that from Matt Lubick, heard it from Matt Sichterman, offensive lineman. We heard it from Greg Austin as well, about how Nebraska just needs to come out with that fire from the very start of the game and not take a series or two to kind of warm up into things as they did on Saturday against Fordham.
And we hadn't heard from Greg Austin in a couple of weeks. I know a lot of people, including here on this YouTube channel, wanted to hear from him post-Illinois. And so one of the things that, Scott Frost had said after the Illinois game is that they had graded the offensive line, but he didn't want to share anything. He wanted Greg Austin to be able to speak for himself. And really kind of the takeaway I had is exactly what you said, that he just feels like they're not starting fast. It's taking them a bit of time to adjust. They're seeing things that they did not maybe necessarily game plan for, or at least it was the plan B to the game plan, and so it's taking them a little bit of time to get into it. He was asked about essentially, does it take time? Have you ever seen an offensive line sort of at their best right to begin the season? And the short answer is it doesn't really matter to him. You need to be playing your best ball from the get-go. And so, yes, there's a learning curve, but he definitely has high expectations for his group to perform and play well right off the bat.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that Matt Sichterman, kind of at the same time as Greg Austin was saying that, was actually talking about how the offensive line has kind of taken it upon themselves to come out and maybe get more game-simulated reps to start practice even, so that they can get used to that, to hit the ground running. And so the glass half full version of that, though, is that they have been able to adjust on the fly, at least in the Fordham game, to kind of get things figured out. And you are going to have to do that from time to time as an offensive line, but I think everyone on that offensive staff would just like them to start faster in games. Absolutely,
and that's going to be a big test against Buffalo, which I know a lot of people are thinking like, Buffalo a test, but it is. Buffalo is a good team. It was Wagner, but they handled their first opponent very handedly. They won 69-7.
So, yeah.
I think that was the old, maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong speaking just off the cuff here, but I mean, they handled it, but Nebraska handled what they needed to do with Fordham as well. So, I mean, really coming into this, Nebraska needs to take the things that it improved upon with Fordham and take that forward. At this point, you hope to not see some of the same errors that you saw against Illinois. That would definitely not be what anybody wants to see.
Right.
And I think a big piece of that, and that goes from the offense to the defense, is starting quicker than they have been.
Yeah, and I think with the defense specifically, flipping to them, I think continuing to stay sound in their assignments and play assignment sound football. As you know, that Buffalo's going to want to come out and run the ball. Yes, they have a new staff as well, and it may be a little bit different than it had been in the past. Right, they still have that same running back, so they're going to be fine in the running game no matter how it ends up coming at Nebraska. And so they're going to just have to stay assignment sound, because that's going to be the key for Buffalo. If Buffalo kind of control the clock and run the football against Nebraska, if Nebraska can stop that, they have a really good chance on Saturday.
And that's something that has been said not just today on Tuesday, but was also sort of the theme on Monday at the press conference. Ben Stilley talked about it, that run game that Buffalo, that is a challenge that presents itself to the defense. So the defense is certainly going to have its challenge with Buffalo. It's going to have its test as well. They kept using that. In fact, this is going to be a test for us as a defense. So that really was the theme that carried into, I would say, today as well.
Right.
And it seems like everybody is on the same page as far as making sure that they know start fast, play sound.
Everyone's in the same meeting rooms. It sounds like they're on the same page, which is a great sign of going into the next game.
Now, what's so interesting is, because we do read your comments, last week when we talked about, the defense really had done what it was. The defense wasn't really the primary issue when it came to Illinois, and the defense wasn't. The defense is doing what it needs to do, but did see a couple of comments that were like, the defense is still not good enough. I don't think they're disagreeing with you.
No, and Braxton Clark even said today, he was one of the
Yeah.
players that spoke, that they have not reached their potential or their ceiling that they think that they can play at yet. He said he thinks they're getting closer, but he said that they're not there yet either as a defense, so they would be the first to admit that as well.
So I saw that comment and I'm thinking, you're right. I think they're right on the same path as you. They agree. And I mean, we've talked about this before too. A lot of what we're talking about is really, I think Nebraska is really in a prove it mode. People want to see it firsthand. They really are tired of hearing about it. They want to see it for themselves. Buffalo is going to present that opportunity, especially as you start to head into games like Oklahoma, Michigan State, and the rest of the Big Ten slate. So, I mean, this is a good time for Buffalo,
Yes.
and hopefully what you see is Nebraska doing what it needs to do against Buffalo and not falling back into old habits. Because if they do, old habits start to seem like they start to seem like a trend and not so much a habit.
And it's just what is, right?
And I know a lot of people have also mentioned that, well, these are the same things that you've seen for years, and you're not wrong. And, these are those things where Nebraska has answers or needs to create answers. Buffalo will, provide an opportunity to hopefully answer some of that. I mean, it's going to answer something no matter
something, because anytime that you play a game, that always answers something. Even the game against Fordham, we were talking about having the details and playing clean football, which they mostly did. The Buffalo game provides a step up in the competition. So if you can continue to execute those same things against another step up in competition, I think that would just give people a little bit better feeling heading into what might be probably is Nebraska's toughest game of the entire season, Ohio State included. That Oklahoma game is probably the toughest one of the season.
And Oklahoma proved against Tulane that it's not a perfect team
Correct.
by any means. And I'm not suggesting anything by saying that, but I'm just saying if you're Nebraska, you shouldn't be walking into anything going, we can't give our best. And so Buffalo is just that next stepping stone to walk into a very tough opponent and compete is really the biggest thing.
Compete, word of the day.
The word of the day. Well, as always, you should head to hailvarsity.com. We have tons of content. We'll have post-practice everything, video, recap, premium pieces, everything that you're looking for. And then we will be back on Friday? Thursday.
Which day?
No idea what day of the week it is. We'll be back on Thursday with even more from practice. We'll hear from Coach Scott Frost on Thursday, hear what he's kind of thinking ahead of Buffalo, so you can head right back to this YouTube channel. But just for the record, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel, because not only are you getting football, both post-practice, post-game, recaps like this, but also recaps that are going to put the week together so that you can kind of look back on and know what happened. We also have volleyball. Volleyball is playing some big opponents this week. Creighton is ranked. Utah is ranked. We'll have videos from that. We have videos right now on this YouTube channel that you can go watch. So I know it's very football focused. That's certainly what we're doing right now, but there is volleyball content as well.
Yep.
All right. We appreciate you for watching as always. On behalf of Greg and I, thank you, and we'll talk to you later.